Black and White Network fans, we are back with another video, and I'm not sure if you guys have actually heard about this story we're going to be talking about in this video. It's a few days old, but man, this really is an eye-opener here, folks, because there is a pastor in Indiana that has now been fired. Why was he fired, you may ask? It's because he thought it was a good idea to go out and dress in drag, hang around drag queens, and perform. And he got fired from his church. I don't know what possessed him to think this was a good idea. Now, ladies and gentlemen, me myself growing up in church, churches are very, very conservative. Now, churches definitely shouldn't be liberal, okay? Definitely not. If you believe in the Word of God, if you believe in the Bible, if you believe in the teaching of Jesus, then you should not be deviating from that, especially, when you're supposed to be a man of the cloth, a pastor preaching the gospel. I mean, think of this, guys. If you go to church on Sundays, okay, and you tell your congregation to not steal, but yet you leave church and you go out and you start stealing, yeah, you're not going to keep a job, okay? You're not going to keep a job, but let's go ahead. Let's look at this here. Indiana pastor who dressed in drag for an HBO docuseries gets fired because it caused turmoil in church. And now he and his wife will also lose their home. Now, guys, it's not actually their home, okay? The church actually owns that home. It's called a parsonage, okay? So let's read this. An Indiana pastor has allegedly been dismissed from his church after he dressed up in drag for the HBO docuseries We're Here because it caused too much turmoil in their community. Pastor Craig Duke from Evansville, Indiana, recently appeared in an episode of the show, which follows top drag queen entertainers Bob the Drag Queen, Eureka O'Hara, and Shangela LaQuifa Wiley, I guess that's the way you pronounce it, as they travel to small cities and towns across the country, transforming locals into fierce drag queens. So they're actually out there, folks, trying to change people into drag queens, according to this article here. Pastor Craig dressed up in drag to show his support for the LGBTQ plus community, including his daughter, who is pansexual, and said he hoped it would be a bridge for the community and the church. Well, Pastor Craig, you went out and completely did the wrong thing here, okay? You don't try to bridge the gap between that community and the church by engaging in acts in that community. You do not do that. Now, you as a pastor, you don't go to a drag show, start dressing in drag, obviously sinning against the Bible, and expect that to bring people into the church. What you're supposed to do, and I'm no pastor, by the way, but I'm not dumb either, okay? If Jesus was in this situation, he would actually go to the drag show, but he would try to convert these people to change their ways. Jesus wouldn't enable these people, and that's essentially what this pastor did. He enabled them. That's why he doesn't have a job. It says, but according to a GoFundMe page set up on his behalf, United Methodist Church has since relieved him of pastoral duties, and he and his wife will soon have to move out of their home that is owned by the church. And this is him right here, dressed up in drag. Horrific idea. An absolute horrific idea. I can't think of any church that would support this. Not one that I can think of. Okay? Now, him losing his job, that's not a surprise, folks. It's not a surprise. Now, we as human beings are all flawed, but guess what, guys? There's been pastors in churches that have lost their jobs for other reasons too, like sleeping around with different women in the church. Yeah, there's been pastors that have lost their jobs, and I know one. It happens. When you deviate from the teachings of the Bible, especially when you're a pastor, they're going to get you out of there. They are. And the only reason they got fired is because he is supposed to be leading a flock of people. He has this kind of influence here, okay? He's going to be teaching children. This can't be allowed, folks. It can't. So this is what he looks like, during the day. This is him by night, I guess you can say. Okay? And it goes on. It says, in the episode, drag queen Eureka called Pastor Duke dope and super fire after he dressed up in full drag and performed a dance number. After it aired, the pastor told Religion News Service that it was, quote, an incredible, wonderful, refreshing, deepening, and powerful spiritual experience. This man actually felt good doing this stuff. Wow. Unreal. He added, I was surrounded and immersed in a culture that I've never been immersed in. And one of the things in ministry, if you want to involve people different than yourself in your ministry, you have to go to where people different than you are. The invitation to be a part of the show allowed me that. Okay. But let's say you invited these people to your church. They're supposed to abide by the church rules. All you did was just enable these people. That's all you did. But while Pastor Craig embraced inclusivity, it appears that his church no longer wanted to embrace him. After the episode aired, he was relieved of his pastoral duties so that he could engage in a process of renewal, reflection, and recovery. Unfortunately, Craig's participation in the show caused so much turmoil in the church that he was serving at the time, and it ultimately led to him being relieved of pastoral duties at that church. The GoFundMe page reads. Oh boy, I can't take this, guys. I really can't. I can't. That has meant that in addition to losing his income, he and his wife, Linda, are also losing their home, since which was owned by the church. Quote, Craig will continue with a significantly reduced salary until no later than February 28. Obviously, this poses a major challenge to Craig and his family as they determine their next steps. Pastor Craig considers himself to be a man of faith, a father, a husband, a social justice advocate, an ally of the LGBTQIA plus community. That acronym gets longer and longer through this article here, folks. Craig has a hope and has fought for a fully inclusive church that is welcoming to people of all races, all genders, and all sexual orientations. Now, here's the thing, folks. The church is for the sinner. Okay? Everybody is welcome into the church. But the thing is, you actually have to be working towards not sinning. That's the thing. All he's doing is enabling the drag queens. That's all he was doing, folks. What he was doing was definitely not godly whatsoever. He wasn't actually trying to bridge the gap between the drag queens and the LGBT community and the church. He wasn't. He was just weakening the church's position because he was not teaching what's in the Bible. He was not doing it at all, guys. But what do you guys think of this? What do you guys think of Pastor Craig Duke being basically fired from his position, even though it kind of seems like, there's kind of an opening for him to come back? They reduce his salary. He's still in his home. I don't know. It's kind of a gray area right there. It really is. But if he's going to take this route here, he's definitely going to be gone permanently. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and White Network fans. Wow. Crazy, crazy story, guys. Anyway, guys, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you next time.